I suspect many of you watching today's Mass will be able to recall exactly where you were and what you were doing when you first heard the frightening news 19 years ago today about the attack on our nation, resulting in the collapse of the Twin Towers, a strike on the Pentagon, a jet plane crash in Pennsylvania, and over 3,000 people killed. For me, being stationed at the time at a Jesuit retreat house in Manhasset, Long Island, I could see from our windows the flames shooting from the top of the towers. After the towers collapsed, the unbelievable amount of lingering smoke, along with the unforgettable smell and dark gray ash filling the air, were all ominous signs of the many funerals to come. Even though we now have since built a Freedom Tower, a 9/11 museum, a solemn outdoor water memorial on the exact site of those two Twin Towers in New York City, and have erected many memorials throughout the country, we cannot help but still mourn the extensive death and destruction we experienced. That day actually permanently changed our lives forever. We became fearful of terrorist attacks. Our government, in response, developed a Department of Homeland Security. All sorts of screening and security was implemented, and ways of air traveling changed drastically, almost overnight. Also, the sad ethnic profiling of Muslims began. I recall our plant manager at the retreat house, an American, but also a Muslim originally from Afghanistan, being terrified for himself and his family's safety after 9/11. His son, sadly, soon started to be bullied at school. Today, as a result of the deadly threat of the coronavirus, we are again seeing our lives substantially altered in ways that we all deeply wish will be merely temporary. We again mourn now for those who lost their lives from COVID-19. 193,000 in our own country and 898,000 worldwide, according to today's statistics. The numbers are staggering. We mourn for them and grieve their loved ones. We also painfully witness businesses closing, jobs being lost, and people afraid of how they will feed their family, pay their rent, or meet their mortgage payments. On top of that, we see peaceful protests for racial justice sadly turn violent for any number of reasons. As a people of faith, however, whenever we mourn, whenever tragedy or violence occurs, we also find ways of hope. Among our hopes at the time of 9/11 was surely that the three major monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, could all come together to reaffirm our appreciation in what it means to say that everything is created by, in, and through our one God. Each of these major religions teaches that we share in being members of one human family. We recognize that people of all faiths and no faith died on September 11, 2001. We recognize today that people of all faiths and even no faith can suffer from and die as a result of the coronavirus. Along these lines, during this month of the season of creation, and in the year when we celebrate the 5th anniversary of Pope Francis's beautiful and challenging encyclical Laudato Si', we reread the Holy Father's conviction that everything in the world is connected. And because all creatures are connected, each must be cherished with love and respect. For all of us as living creatures are dependent upon one another. Is it any wonder then why we need to hear in today's gospel Jesus telling us to be sure we are in a position to take the splinter out of one another's eye? Yes, we are called to do that precisely because we are connected. We are our brothers and sisters' keeper, for we are all part of one human family. But, and there is a big but, we must perform that splinter removal by being self-critical, being sure to take the wooden beam out of our own eye first. Without that, we are nothing but a hypocrite. Unfortunately, that wooden beam stays firmly planted when we don't listen to the experiences of others, when we don't bother to hear of their pain and suffering, or learn of the injustices and violences they've endured. Faith, as theologian Gerhard Lofink writes in his book, No Irrelevant Jesus, can never be blind. It requires a history of true enlightenment that accompanies it unceasingly. We cannot be blind to the other or blind to ourselves as individuals, a church, or a people. We should not, as Jesus warns, even follow those who are blind. Instead, we are called to connect with each other and the common home, the planet Earth we share. As we heard in yesterday's gospel, we are to be connected even to our enemies. Love your enemies, Jesus says. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. Are you ready to ask for the grace to accept his challenge and command? Or do we remain with our narrow vision, caught in our silos, blinded by our biases, unable, in the words of St. Augustine, to help the needy, liberate the oppressed, give the good our backing, and tolerate the bad? Are we able to recognize today and every day, no matter what, that all must be loved?